You know what this is? This is the first voiceover in the new room with the soundproofing audio stuff. How do I sound? I hope it's better than before. It probably isn't. Anyway, this couch wasn't here this morning. Now it is. Let's talk about it. So that's right, for those of you who haven't been around, I just recently moved and we had to go get a couch. Now, Rebecca's aunt actually was giving us a couch for free. Super kind. Thank you so much if you ever watch this video. We love it. But it was a long drive and I've actually been shooting a lot of film documenting the move process just for fun. I don't know if I'm going to share all those photos because it's kind of just a personal documentary thing. Let me know if you want to see. I don't know. But my mentality for this whole thing is point and shoot. I'm going to be carrying boxes and moving stuff around. I don't want to be fiddling around with settings. So I used a lot of my Fujifilm Discovery, and for this specific day I brought 2 of my Polaroids. I brought the Polaroid Now, which I've been in the middle of testing because I'm going to do a review of that. That'll be coming in a million years. And I brought the Polaroid Sun 600. Now the Polaroid Sun 600 came from my friend David, who was very nice and gave me a box of old cameras that he found. And this happened to be one of them. This was the first one I wanted to test. I never used it before today, so fingers crossed. Spoiler alert. It worked. David is also a phenomenal musician and he's on YouTube, so go check him out. Now, if you're a Polaroid aficionado, you know that they recently re-released the duochrome yellow and black film, which that was a mouthful, that was very difficult to say. So I wanted to test out a couple of packs of that. Duochrome renders everything yellow and black, it's just like a bee.
Not the bears! Ah!
So our first stop, of course, was picking up the U-Haul truck. We needed to drive the U-Haul out to Jersey to get the couch, and you know me, I'm kind of obsessed with gas stations, so I fired off a couple shots, completely forgetting that I had a pack of black and white film in the camera. I really like how these shots came out, and I was kind of surprised because the black and white film, there was 4 shots left. It was in there for like a month or so now, and the shots still came out pretty damn reliably. I will say, in my past couple of reviews, I've criticized Polaroid's film performance, but 2020, it feels as though they've really improved the formula. My experience now, I'm ordering direct from Polaroid, I keep it refrigerated, I follow their best practices, which I made a video about, I'll link that in the description as well. And just doing that, I've had some very consistent results this year, so I'm happy to say that even though the film is pricey, it's working much better now. I fired off a quick shot of the flag and the car lot in the distance before we hopped into the U-Haul, and I gotta say, a little crooked, not a huge fan of that at all. Consistent problem.
My brain sucks.
You know how it is. And then we hopped into the U-Haul. Now I noticed the windshield was wet, it looked like they had just washed it, so I wanted to see if I can get some nice bouquet going there, and what is this? That's a beard hair.
Disgusting!
Much better. Photo kind of sucks though. But yeah, with that we were on our way. And as we hit the highway, I loaded up the duochrome film. 1 pack for the Polaroid Now, 1 pack for the Polaroid Later. No, actually that one's called the Sun 600. I just thought it was a good joke. I'll leave. 3 hours later, we arrived. I took some photos around the yard because Rebecca's aunt had just such a beautiful garden. There was so much stuff growing there. Beautiful stuff in the garden, get it? But this photo definitely came out a little overexposed and it kind of is obscuring features a little bit, like it almost looks soft because of how blown out it is, but I still like it. It's a nice little moment I captured there. She also lived real close to a harbor, so I went for a quick walk and fired off a few shots of the boats. I would have really loved this shot had the composition been a little bit better. Not trying to make excuses here, no Johns, but it feels like the Polaroid Sun's viewfinder is a little inaccurate because I could have sworn I didn't frame with that other ship mast. If that's what it's called, I'm not a sailor, sorry. If that was out of the frame, this would have been so much cooler, but it's in there, I hate it. It's okay, let's move on. Apart from gas station guy, I feel like I'm also power line guy, so I had to shoot the power lines on this one. And this is probably a good time to bring up the fact that I noticed probably a little too late because I didn't adjust for it at all while I was shooting. These shots all seem to kind of come out a little overexposed, and this was on both cameras. So I think it's the film, not the camera itself. This was on the Now and the Sun. So I brought them all into Lightroom. I did a little bit of adjusting. Normally I don't do a ton of that on my film stuff, but for this one I just wanted the contrast to pop a little bit more, so I used an adjustment brush, just kind of painted it in because I didn't want to ruin the frame either, and just did a little bit to the contrast and the highlights and shadows, nothing too crazy. I didn't yeet the contrast at all, it was more like a King Zora scoot, just a little... You know what I mean? But I think it makes them just kind of stand out a little bit more. In the future, since I do have another pack of this, I think I'll adjust everything to the minus side just to kind of get them a little bit darker, because just the highlights, I don't know, they seem really blown to me. Now this was one of my favorite shots. I feel like the composition was really cool. The ship says GN, which is kind of cool. It makes me think of the Super Dankness people, and that makes me happy. And the colors really seem to work in this one. I went for a nice leading line shot down this street. It was pretty empty, there weren't too many cars, but I didn't really want to hang out in the middle of the road and get hit by a car for this video, so I took two. I shot one on the Polaroid Now, one on the Polaroid Sun, and I gotta tell you, not in love with either of them. Good job, Lou, you're killing it. Very, very excellent. I was out of shots on the Polaroid Sun. I still had a couple left on the Polaroid Now, and we had to start heading home because we had a long drive, but before that we had to stop at Wawa. Now, I am a New Yorker. I lived in New York for most of my life until this move, but I still recognize the insane arcane power of Wawa. It's definitely the best convenience store. Don't at me. So I had to commemorate that because I don't get to go to Wawa very often. And not to continue with this Wawa obsession, but it does feel like the urban environments are better suited for the duochrome film. It just feels like there's some more contrast in the photos in general because there's less green. I feel like all the greenery and stuff like that, it kind of just didn't have enough natural contrast in the image for the effect to really pop. Things kind of got a little mushy, whereas here, there's some more contrast in the scene. I cannot explain how pumped I am right now to go get a fucking coffee from Wawa. It's gonna be great, dude. Then we hit the road. We were on our way home. The long drive back to the apartment. I had my coffee though, so that was pretty nice. Before we started unpacking back at the apartment, I took a shot of the van fully loaded up. I didn't remember to do B-roll because, you know, big brain, but here's a little glimpse of what it looked like. But man, that thing was stuffed. But that, my friends, was the end of the duochrome. I was all out, but I did have
another one.
We had to drop a few things off at Rebecca's old place, so I figured I'd take a few last shots of the process. And I kind of forgot to mention earlier on, we were calling the U-Haul Bertha all day because, you know, she's a big mama. So I wanted to make sure I captured Bertha's good side. And I think there's no better time than when she was pulling off the lawn. Man, that was flawless. I also took a shot of Rebecca as she was backing Bertha up, but as you can see, the flash was just brutal and she looks like a ghost and Bertha looks like a ghost. I definitely should have considered how much light would have been reflected by the flash and turned it off, but it is what it is. Bummer, can't go back in time, I guess. Lesson learned. I also really love this shot of Bertha because just the way the light was hitting, it was really close to golden hour. The sun was just reflecting off the steering wheel really nicely. I turned the flash off and I just went for natural light, and I gotta say, I love this shot. But obviously not nearly as much as I love this beautiful shot where I accidentally hit the shutter while I was walking up the stairs and got the grass all blurred out. That was Polaroid King over here, ladies and gentlemen. And after that, it was finally time to bring Bertha back home. She deserved the rest. She was a real trooper all day. It was golden hour. I was at the gas station. I didn't have Cinestill, so that's kind of illegal, but I took a couple more shots. There was this really old car opposite the gas station. I loved this one. I turned the flash off because I was afraid of some like reflections in the chrome and all that stuff. It is honestly a tiny bit darker than I would have liked it to be, but I still really love the composition. And last but not least, I turned back and fired one more shot at the whole gas station scene, but I forgot to disable the flash, so the flash actually went off, but it wasn't close to anything, so it didn't light anything, so the whole thing's very underexposed, and I was disappointed. And that was the end of my Polaroid journey. Which was actually a bummer because there was a few instances after that where I said, oh man, I wish I had some more film right now, but I used up all my frames because I'm an egg. Shit do be looking aesthetic though. Shame I ran out of film. But anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed taking the journey with me. I know this isn't a normal kind of crapshoot, but things have just been really hectic with moving in and getting settled in the new place. So I hope you enjoyed just taking the ride with me on this one. And guys, before we wrap this video up, we gotta talk about the feature of the week. This week was black and white, so I gotta give it to this killer drone shot by Philippe, aka Drone Abstract on Instagram. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching the videos. As always, make sure you smash that subscribe button, share the video, leave a like and a comment, tell me how everything is going for you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!
And will you tell your friends to smash the subscribe button? Today was all they was thinking. Today was all they was thinking. Let's go!
Subscribe.